Hey everybody, how you doing today? Hope everybody's good. Want to introduce episode 3 of the Pied Piper P116U. We're making some good progress here, doing really well. Hopefully you'll find this stuff interesting. So before we do that, a message from our sponsor, and then we'll jump right in. I'll see ya.
Few names are so closely woven into the history of modern science as this, the Cavendish Laboratory in Cambridge. Here work the giants of modern physics. And here, today, are working men who may well prove to be the giants of tomorrow. And here, more than half a century ago, worked another man whose name was to become world famous in a way he... W.G. Pye.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of our Pied Piper P116U. And in this episode, we're going to start off by looking at the cabinet here. So the cabinet is in pretty decent shape. There's definitely some issues here with the veneer, which we're going to fix. You see there's pieces missing, and there's some various chips on the edge here, and there's a piece missing on the corner, and underneath we have a piece of wood with our tube chart, so we're going to make sure we preserve that. And this is the one bolt that holds the chassis in. And we also have a problem with the speaker cloth here, and you can see that the speaker cloth is sagging inward, and it probably has been like that from day one. In order to get at it, I'll show you what you got to do. So inside this thing, there's two bolts that come through. There's one here, and there's one here, and you need to take the nuts off, and then there's little tiny wood screws that go all the way around this thing. And I had a hell of a time getting those out. You can see here they are really rusted badly, and we're going to have to replace those. Take a look at that. Those are rusted badly. But anyway, we got them out, and as you can see, this top now comes off. So the question is, how do I know that this speaker cloth was probably like that from day one? Well, take a look at it. Right here, there's no glue. They cut this piece too short, which means that this piece was never stretched properly over the speaker hole to begin with. So there was definitely glue here, but right on this top area, it was probably pushed in from day one. Now, that brings me to the next part that I want to cover in this radio. And I've gotten a good deal of history about this radio from our good friend Phil. And essentially, what the story is these radios were built really cheaply. In fact, their life expectancy was no more than 10 years likely. And you can tell that by the way that the components were placed, where the components were placed, the types of components that were used. They really weren't designed to last a long time. And Phil told me a lot of stories where he used to repair these things when he was a youngster and starting out in the repair business. And, you know, these things were as simple as it can get. So, you know, we've got a radio which in today's standards would be considered cheap and maybe not even worth the effort that I'm putting into it. But it does have a great historical value to me because it was made not to last. So we do the opposite. We make it last. So while it may seem like an old, broken down, cheap radio, it really isn't. It really means more than that. So, what's the plan on the cabinet? Well, you'll see there's a wood block missing here. We have to reattach. I have the block. There's a cleat here missing. We're going to fix all that up. We're going to, I'm probably going to re-veneer this entire cabinet. I've never done that before, and why not? Let's give it a shot. I do have another cabinet that I can swap, which is in better shape, but that's no fun. Why would I do that? So we're going to do that, and we've gotten the dial off, and we're going to decide what we do with this material here. It's yellowed. It probably wasn't yellow to begin with. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm going to see if it cleans up nicely. It does need to be glued back down. There's a piece of beveled plywood in here that it's probably glued down to. And then there's a piping here that's stapled along the edge. You can see right here. All the way around. And over here is the number 5905. I wonder what that is. I don't know if that's the serial number. No clue what that is. It could be the piece. Maybe they were book matching pieces to match the cabinet, right? Because these things were all handcrafted. So maybe this was meant to match this case. I don't know. I just don't know. Never going to find that out, right? So one last thing I want to show you. Inside the case here is a sticker. It's actually a piece of plastic or something. And it says, "Royalty has been paid on this apparatus pursuant to a license agreement with the grantors of the Broadcast Sound Receiver License known as A7-S, authorizing the use of certain British and Irene," well, what's that word? I imagine that, let me see, E-I-R-E, that's Ireland. Ireland, interesting. Letters patent. Serial number TS9073. And there's a seal here. Hold on. Isle of Man, Great Britain, Northern Ireland. Ire Channel. I know EIRE is an abbreviation for Ireland. Interesting. Iran. That's interesting. I never saw that word before. Anyway, enough of the history lesson. So, so that's what we've got going on here. And obviously we'll pull the shot back. This is where the dial face goes. And let me show you what that looks like. Here's the dial face. Just a piece of brass. It's got a brass cup. Kind of goes like this. And then this dial plate is mounted with 2 screws that goes right through. And it's inside. And just by looking at this dial plate, I'm thinking that the color of this material, I think it's vinyl, probably was meant to be more of a yellowish color. But we'll see if we can brighten it up, because it does kind of match this dial. Looking at the dial, what do we have here? North, home, Scotland, North, Brussels, Light, Midland, Hilversum, West, Welsh, Third, no idea what that is, and Cambridge, England, and Paris, Sarre, Light, and Luxembourg. I have so much to learn. Anyway, that's the dial. So that's going to be our plan for the cabinet. So let me set something up and we shall continue. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the radio now. So after I completed the video that I posted, I did check the B plus on this thing, and the B plus is coming in at 105 volts, which is not enough. We need the voltage to be around 200, 210 volts, somewhere around there, DC. That's really what we need. So the modification that I told you about is really, and I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly probably, so you'll maybe help me phonetically. It's called a Greenacher, Greinacher, and it's basically a voltage doubler. That's exactly what we're going to do here. So what we're going to do is we're going to double the B plus. So here's the plan. So we're going to sever the plate right here of the rectifier tube. It's going to be gone, and we're going to add a pair of 100 microfarad caps and 2 diodes, and we're going to attach it directly in place of the plate, and we should get about 200 volts, somewhere around there. I'm guessing around 210, give or take. Now I did align the radio yesterday when I put that video up, and I got rid of the squeal. A lot of you heard the squeal. The squeal is gone. However, I think the radio can be better. So we've created our voltage doubler. It's right here. It's a pair of 100 microfarad caps at 450 volts, a little overkill, but it's all I had. And we have a pair of 1N4005s, and we've got everything wired. There's 3 connections that go here, and the blue connection goes right here. This is the blue. The red connection, this is the red, goes right here, which is actually going to go to the grid. I'm sorry, the cathode of the rectifier tube. And the green wire goes all the way down here. It connects in place of capacitor C26, and that's going to be where that connects. And how we're going to do this is, let's take a look at this. Okay, So here's capacitor C26. This is the capacitor that I had to add back in to test the radio. This capacitor gets removed in this design, and it gets replaced with this voltage doubler. It gets connected in a few other places. So I've made this board small enough that it will fit in this space, just like this, if I mount it properly, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to remove this and we're going to add that voltage doubler, and then we're going to test it again, and we should get proper B+ then, and then this radio will really be good to go. And of course we have to fix this modification and make it permanent, which is where we tied all the resistors together. We know that works. So that's where we are. So I'm going to work on this voltage doubler, and we're going to measure and see what we get from a B+ perspective. Remember, I got 105 volts B+, and let me show you where I measured. On the original schematic, let's take a look. I measured right here on C25, this spot, which goes right into the rectifier tube. Okay? So this is what I got, and you see here it's marked 225 volts. Okay, I got 100. So we're going to insert it right here. This is the spot I was showing you, and we're going to measure it right there again. So let me get to it, and we'll show you. Okay, we have our voltage doubler circuit installed. Everything is ready to test and to go. I'm just going to look everything over one more time before I light it up. But let me just kind of recap what we've done. So I've taken our speaker wires here and extended them a little bit, put some heat shrink on here, and just kind of tied them off to this rail so they don't flop around too much. And if you look here, here's our voltage doubler circuit. I've got a little circuit board here with a piece of insulation underneath, and that is connected exactly where it needs to be. You also see I have a power cord coming in, and I have that going up through the hole. There's a knot tied in there, and it's going to the power switch. And the only modification I need to make here, which I haven't done yet, is first of all, I've got the other half tied to the filter cap. The only thing I need to do is sever the connection here that goes to the plate of the rectifier tube. I haven't done that yet. We're going to do that now, and then we're going to light it up and test it. So we'll see if we have sound or smoke. We'll have one or the other. So that's going to be the plan. So let me bring you back when we're ready to light it up, and hopefully light it up is a bad term. Anybody want a bird?
Hello, I wish to register a complaint. Hello, miss?
What do you mean, miss?
Oh, I'm sorry, I have a cold. I wish to make a complaint.
Oh, sorry, we're closing for lunch.
Never mind that, my lad. I wish to complain about this parrot. What I purchased not half an hour ago from this very boutique.
Oh, yes, the Norwegian Blue. What's wrong with it?
I'll tell you what's wrong with it, my lad. It's dead. That's what's wrong with it.
No, it's resting, look.
Okay. Right here is the plate of the rectifier tube. This is the trail that we need to cut. We don't want those connected. So, let's see what we could do with this knife here. Should come off pretty easy. These boards are very fragile to begin with. There we go. We'll lift that up for now. We're not going to rip it off. We're just going to lift it. And we now have isolated the plate. Okay? So there's the trace lifted. We should be good to go. Let's give it a try. What do you think? Okay, we have our radio connected to our Variac. We have our meter connected to B+. We're going to go over to DC. We're going to arm the Variac. Let's make sure the power switch is on here. Power switch is on. We're going to bring it up slowly in steps. There's 45 volts. You can see our B+ is already starting to climb. That's good. No smoke. That's always good too. And let's go up to 80. There's 80 volts. And you can see our B+ is at 177 and climbing. Let's go up to 100. There's 100. At this point I should start to hear some sound on the radio. We're at 205, 204. There we go. You can see our B+ is dropping now as those tubes light up. We've got some sound.
Ball one. What a year it's been for Ozuna with the bat. 13 home runs, 36 batted in. He's hitting 320.
Let's bring it up to 120.
And he's in the top 10 of the National League in batting average, home runs, RBIs, OPS, and slugging.
There's 120.
He's safely in 18 of the last 19 games coming in.
Very great here. Look at this. Looks like we settled around 210. Just as I expected.
Throughout his career. In 30 innings, is split. He's got a special relationship with the guy who adopted him.
Okay, so as I expected, I had 105 before. We're doubled at 210. Now I think I need to do another alignment, because I suspect that the alignment is going to change as a result of having better B+ here. So our mod has worked, and we're in good shape. And yeah, let's disconnect this thing. Let's turn it off. And we're gonna next do an alignment on it, and then we'll be able to put the radio down and start working on the cabinet. So good news. So the doubler worked. The grenature. I'm probably saying it wrong. There's a lot of words I said wrong, huh? I got the Ireland word wrong. Iran. I don't know. And that. So anyway, let's cut this off here. I'm not going to do an alignment on video because you've all done alignments and know what that looks like. So let's cut back where we get to next.
High ball one.
Okay, we've aligned our radio, and I'm going to call this radio good. And we're going to put this aside and work on the cabinet. Sounds really good.
And I know people don't necessarily pay as much attention to the wind with all of the...
It definitely sounds much better in person with B+ a lot higher. So we're going to call the radio restored for now, and we're going to work on the cabinet. So let's get that started. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with this this front plate here. I've considered rewrapping it, but I'm using some of this soft scrub here, and it appears to be doing a good job. So I think we're going to at least try to clean it. Put a little bit of this on here, like that. Let's zoom it in so you can see the difference. You can see it's a little brown there, probably some cigarette smoke. It brings it back to a pretty good state. I don't know how well you're going to see that on the camera, but it looks pretty good. So I think we're going to keep this. We're just going to clean it. And we're going to glue this end down, and then we'll move on to the cabinet. Alright, we've started working on the cabinet here. I found a piece of veneer that I had, which is a pretty close match to the grain of this cabinet. And I've cut out a piece that goes from here to here. There was a big chunk missing on the cabinet. It's been glued down. I've got it clamped. I'm going to end up sanding this whole thing and staining it anyway. It's going to get stained dark, so you won't notice it. So that piece is going to glue. When that's done, we'll get the iron and press it down just to make sure. And then we're going to do the same thing on one of these sides here. Right here. Another piece. So we've got the veneer work going. And when that's done, like I said, we'll sand this down and stain it and see what happens. Alright, I'm going to end this video here because this is really just more boring work, cabinet work here. So I'll continue doing that, and when we come back in episode 4, you'll see the result of how this worked out. We'll be back. Take care, everybody.